Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynic Alex, and today we got our third sneak peek for Spider-Man Far From Home, the upcoming update that's landing in about a week. And this time around, it's unexpected, and it's still a bit ambiguous as to what is going on and what we're going to be getting. It's not Mysterio, and it's not Spider-Man. It's a brand new character, and we already had a tease of a brand new character on the splash screen that we talked about in the video like 12 hours ago. If you didn't get that one, you should go back and watch that one. And there's also been an additional bit of information that I'll be covering later today in a separate video about two other characters that should be coming to the game. So we're guaranteed to have at least 3 new characters, judging by this sneak peek, and 3 new uniforms, 2 for Spidey, 1 for Mysterio. But this is pretty big. Now, here's the really interesting part about this sneak peek. It's a villain, which is amazing, but they're kind of hiding whether it's Electro or Shocker, at least at first. So the image looks more like Electro. If you don't know who Electro is, we'll talk about it in a bit, but basically he uses electricity. So like, you know, lightning is for Thor, Electro is for electricity, simple. And so we have electricity running through these power lines and these cables, and then there's a spark. That all looks like electricity, which sounds like Electro, but then the way it's worded on the sneak peek, and this sneak peek is really good on Twitter, this Sinister villain, they've both been part of the Sinister Six, is sure to make a shocking entrance. So they use the word shocking to allude to Shocker. So that's a really nice twist there. However, there are context clues in this image that will lead us to sort of believe or prove, or at least have a reasonable expectation that we are getting Electro and not Shocker. Now, because I haven't been 100% accurate in which one I'm talking about when we're discussing the boys meme, I wanted to quickly do a rundown of the differences between Shocker and Electro. So Shocker doesn't actually have superpowers. He has a suit that he made for himself. He's more like the Vulture. He builds technology and then he uses that to make to do damage and to make chaos and create situations for himself. He doesn't actually use any sort of electricity or lightning or whatever. He uses those gloves which emit, I believe it's blasts of sound or blasts of air. And that's what he's shooting out, and the suit basically just protects him from himself. So he has nothing to do with energy or electricity or lightning. Electro, on the other hand, was electrocuted like in a freak accident, like a lot of other heroes. You know, like Luna Snow was locked in a freezer. This guy was shocked, holding an electrical wire, and then he was imbued with the powers of electricity, and that's why he's called Electro, and you know, so on and so forth. He's basically just like your carbon copy villain with those types of powers. He can, you know, shoot lightning. He can, or electricity rather. He can travel quickly on things that can conduct electricity, so he can like go super fast on wires or cables like this. And then there was one story where he actually turned into a lightning bolt, or I guess like a bolt of electricity, literally. Anyways, looking at the actual sneak peek itself just for a moment here and going into paint, I want to point out a couple things for you guys which is actually pretty hilarious, which some people have been saying is a clue. So here we go. We've got the posts here, but the posts are actually T's, guys. Isn't that crazy? And if you count the number of T's in the image, there are 3 T's. So 3 T's is code for tier 3. So we are going to be getting tier 3 Electro in the next update. Isn't that crazy? And he'll probably be a speed villain as well, so goodbye Korath. However, what I actually want to show you, and what I'm actually talking about with the sneak peek, is something that is not conjecture. It's right down here at the bottom, and I think this is the real clue for the comic book fans. And I'm not a good enough one. I had to cheat and look this up on Wikipedia. If you look up 1964, and in particular you look up 1964 in relation to Electro and Shocker, you will find that Electro was first debuted in Amazing Spider-Man number 9 from February 1964, which is that year. So in that case, because Shocker wasn't introduced in the same year, it seems as though we are going to be getting Electro. And it makes more sense because Shocker wouldn't actually create a spark and wouldn't actually create all that electrical disturbance with the power lines. That wouldn't be his power. Like if he were to shoot the electrical lines, maybe they would explode, but it wouldn't just be electricity running through. There would be more. There'd be fire. There'd be explosions. There'd be things flying around. So I'm very confident that we're probably. I'm you know, like 80 to 90% sure we are getting Electro. We may be getting both Electro and Shocker and this may be their way of combining 2 sneak peeks into one, but I don't want to get my hopes up too much. I would love to get Shocker, but I'm also super happy that we're getting Electro. I love the Spider-Man villains. I love the Sinister Six. I want the boys to get back together, and if we are getting the classic Electro, which is my next point, I'm going to be over the moon. Now, people are going to disagree with me. Some people are going to agree with me. But now I want to talk which Electro we are going to get. Presuming we're getting Electro based on the information that I've given you, which Electro are we going to get? Well, this is the classic Electro. This is the sort of campier version. This is the version that was debuted. This is the version that he had for a long time. And this is the version you saw and I grew up with watching the Spider-Man animated series. So I would love this one. It's green, it's yellow, it's right in your face, it's bright, and he literally looks like a lightning bolt or like a bolt of electricity because of the way that he's dressed. I just love this outfit. I think it's amazing. I spoiled the next one. And I really enjoy it. However, there's also a possibility if we're not getting a uniform for him, which we could get a day 1 uniform for Electro, we could be getting the newer version of Electro. Now, he has a few different color options. One of them is sort of green and blue. One of them is sort of yellow and green to pay homage more so to the old original uniform, but this one is a more updated one that they did when they really just tried to change up the character and they tried to alter his powers a little bit and bring him into sort of, you know, the year 2000. They tried to make him a more realistic character, a little bit more grounded and a little bit less campy. So rather than having him wear that electricity mask, they put scars on his face that resemble bolts of electricity, and they sort of changed around his powers just slightly, and they've, you know, done this quite a few times, and there's quite a few different options you can go for as far as the look of the character, but it's maskless. The final version of the character that we could be getting is the most realistic. So I think, you know, if we're grading these characters on a scale, the one that I want, or the one that I like the most, is the least realistic, and it's the most sort of cartoony, and then the most recent one from Spider-Man PS4 is the most realistic. This one is basically if he were a real person, because it combines sort of a more urban, more kind of techie version of his suit. It's less sort of fabric-y, and then on top of that, rather than being colored scars that look exactly like electricity, it's just scars that are sort of shaped like electricity, but obviously they're still like flesh colored because they're scars. So that's pretty much the 3 different looks that I'm expecting for the character. As far as his actual, as far as like the playstyle of the character goes, and as far as what we can expect from skills, I think, first of all, I mentioned it already, but I do think that he's probably going to be a speed type character, because it just doesn't really make sense to make him, I mean, he could be Blast, actually. He definitely could be a Blast type character, but unlike a lot of these other Blast type characters, he doesn't have as much of, like, it doesn't consume him. I guess in some ways it does consume him, and the energy kind of flows out of him, so it definitely could resemble Human Torch and Iceman, but for some reason I just feel like he's going to be speed. A lot of the other Sinister Six members are speed. Actually, a lot of Spidey villains in general are speed. You've got Kraven, you've got Vulture, you've got Green Goblin, so quite a few already, and of course Spider-Man himself is a speed character. Quite a few are already here in the speed category, and we just had an update with 3 new, but updates to 5 Blast characters. So introducing more Blast characters on top of the fact that we know Mysterio's already getting an update, it's going to be extremely Blast heavy for multiple updates in a row. Now, I don't want to spoil too much about the video later today, but it's possible that we may get even another Blast type character from some of the other characters that are confirmed, at least in writing, not officially from Netmarble, but unofficially, or I guess still officially from Marvel. But yeah, my money by far would be on speed. It doesn't necessarily match the character as much as it does for Blast in the case of characters like Iceman and Human Torch, kind of having that that energy coming out of them and having that be a core part of their character. But I just think that, you know, the speed class is a bit small right now in comparison to both Blast. It's got the fewest numbers, 56 and 52 versus 46, so they're behind by 10 on combat, and then they're still behind by 6 on Blast. They're actually a lot closer to Universal, but Universal's way behind. But then on top of that, just recent updates have had way too many Blast types. And then the fact that Korath, if they're going to sell us a new premium character, and they're going to make that premium character Electro, and they're going to make him a lot stronger than Korath for something like ABX, and of course he's definitely going to be a villain, so that would be a perfect time to do that rather than having to update one of the existing speed type characters like Kraven or like Vulture. But with that being said, I think getting one of the boys, getting one of the Sinister Six, opens the door even further for the possibility that we could see, at minimum, level 70 Gear 25 upgrades for the remaining characters that surround the Sinister Six. There's more than one, but we could definitely get level 70 Gear 25 for Dr. Octopus, for Venom / Anti-Venom, and Carnage as well, in addition to Rhino, in addition to Sandman, which we've already talked about in a standalone video, and then in addition to Lizard, as well as, of course, Kraven, and then we already know Mysterio. I mean, Mysterio's guaranteed to get it because he's getting uniform, but then finally Kraven and Green Goblin. So actually, if you consider all of those characters, and there's no guarantee that they're all going to get it. They might completely skip Carnage. They might also skip Venom because they want to leave him for a separate update. And you know what? They might even skip Dr. Octopus. I mean, he is a pretty core Spider-Man villain, but who knows? For some reason, they might want to skip him. We could still be getting a lot of additional level 70 Gear 25 characters. So if those characters in particular, those Spider-Man villains, really appeal to you and you want to rank them up, even if they're not going to necessarily be much stronger, they're not going to get uniforms, you should consider saving up, if you haven't already started saving up. I have tons, but Black Antimatter and Chaos Nornstones, in order to be able to awaken their potential once, you know, X number of days passes by and you get their potential unlocked. But with that being said, I'm actually quite excited for Electro and the possibility of Shocker. But what do you guys think? Do you think that Shocker, do you think that they're trying to, you know, heavily hint at Electro with the date there, but they're actually bringing in Shocker? Are they going to be bringing in both Electro and Shocker? Additionally, do you know who the other two characters are? Have you read online the kind of post? And are you excited for them? So there's a possibility now, pretty sure, 3 new characters, 3 new uniforms, and that's 4 different villains that are going to be getting either introduced or they're going to be getting a uniform to upgrade them in the form of Mysterio. So it's looking like a villain-heavy update, which I always love. This game needs more villains. This game needs more villains that are strong. We have the uber strong villains, the Dr. Dooms, the Strifes, and the Thanoses, but then there's a huge gap. There's a huge, you know, amount of power, you know, left in between the really good ones and then everything else. So we need that middle area, you know, your Scarlet Witch level, etc., who are, you know, very strong but just not super uber OP. So hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you guys think. Electro, Shocker, both. Let me know what you think of the boys, and are they back? Subscribe if you enjoy the content and you want to support me, and of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you later today. Take care.